Into the SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by Sorare Data. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Andy Black, who you can find as Black on Sorare. We are doing this much later than we normally do. Much later. It's like 3 hours later. But because of that, we have people in the chat who are saying like, this is the perfect time. People who we usually get like the Euro crowd where we're on at like 10 p.m. ish, around then, 11 maybe. But now we have K Sorare and Sojiwa, King Kaizan here, Jimmer's here, and everyone's like, this is the perfect time. It's in the morning. They're just starting their day. Jimmer's not. This is the evening for Jimmer. But thank you for everyone for joining us. I think I said like a few weeks or maybe a few months ago that like we were going to mix the times up a little bit so we could get more people to be able to join us. Mike McGovern in the house. Mike, good to see you here, even though we've actually met in person. But thank you everyone for joining us. Andy, we were very excited to talk about this topic today. The truly worst part of playing this game you and I both experienced this week.
Oh, I thought we had different answers for this.
Oh gosh, I hope not. Maybe we do. But why don't you say what you think the worst thing is, even though I think it's something we both did literally yesterday. And
Yeah. Well, I think it only really happens to me on midweeks. No, it's always. And I'll break it down into like 5 sections. It's buying goalkeepers, buying U23 goalkeepers, buying super rare goalkeepers, buying super rare U23 goalkeepers. All of those things make me want to vomit.
I think that was only 4.
4. Okay.
And
Buying,
logging in.
logging in. No. Buying the handcuff to your U23 goalkeeper that's not U23, but so that you have a goalkeeper when he's hurt. I bought Cody Cropper this week, who Vancouver's like the worst team right now in the MLS. They concede 3 every game, and I bought him because I needed a goalie. I had too many players. This midweek not to like. If I would have not bought a goalie, it would have been dumb.
So that's the worst part, is that, and I was in the same boat. Like I actually sold a bunch of goalies just before the beginning of the MLS season. Like I had some MLS goalies that I bought cheap, and I was like, I'm just going to flip them.
Was one of them Bradley Guzan?
It was.
Yeah, you came out good there, huh?
That one worked out well.
Yeah.
I did it to Jimmy Maurer also. That one worked out.
Okay.
And I did it to Aljaz Ivacic, who I only owned because you told me to buy him a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I definitely, crystal balled that for sure.
Yeah, that one came good after a while. But then, so I kept talking about how like I was all set for the summer, like my better cards are MLS or Champion America cards. And then I like sat down the other day and I was like, all right, like let me make sure I'm like set for the summer. And it was like, oh shit, I don't have enough goalies. And I have like all these players that I'm ready to play in all these different. I was going to play U23 Rare Pro, finally buying some super rares to play. And then I'm like, oh my God, I don't have enough goalies. And I've been part of like endless conversations about how few goalies there are in the summer. And like at no point I bought more of them.
They just keep getting hurt and they keep rotating, and just like it's been a disaster for, a lot of guys. That I think Sean Newsham, he said that he lost 7 goalkeepers last week or the week before. I was listening to I think maybe it was John Nellis. I think it was on there, and it was he lost 7 goalkeepers in one weekend. That's insane.
Yeah, I lost 3 U23 goalies in the same weekend. And I only have 3, like starting.
Tani Hassel and who?
No, Hazel, De Kaiser, and it was when Van de Voort got scratched.
Well, luckily,
That one turned
I
out to be
mean,
okay.
like, yeah, but like the Kaiser season's about done, right? There's one more week left for them, or a couple more.
So the worst part was that like all of a sudden Utrecht had like midweek matches because of these like extra, conference league playoff or whatever the hell they play. So
Yeah.
I was like looking at all this midweek utility, like Hazel would have been played this week. And I was thinking I was like deep enough, and then it all just came crashing down. And then it was like, do I try to buy another U23 goalie? And I remember when Osako got a start, he was like 0.45, and I was like, oh, all right, like maybe I should buy one, but like you just never know with these guys. And he was so bad last year, and he's an ETH card now because they've gone on an absolute tear. And I kind of made this conscious decision that I was like, I'm only going to play U23 Rare Pro in the summer. I'm not going to play Rare. That's where I'll use my Hazel card. And then he got hurt. And now it's like I was buying all these other cards, and because I was overlooking goalie so much, like I started like buying cards like Euro cards for next season. Like I was trying to get some like cheap super rares that I thought might pan out. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh man, I'm gonna need like I probably need like 4 goalies, not like
Mhm.
one. But I bought one yesterday. Glenn, who's in chat here, was the one who sold it to me. I will admit to Glenn that I completely messed up by buying that card. So I offered Glenn, I don't even remember if you had the card actually on the market. I think you did. So I offered 0.55 to Glenn, and then he rejected it, which was whatever. He had his price. And then he DM'd me a little bit later and was like, you know what? I need to find a I needed a replacement, which is why I rejected it. I found my replacement, so I'll take the 0.55. And I was like, great. Sent in the offer, accepted, handshake emoji, everybody's happy. I pick up my phone and it says 20 minutes ago, I had an SD alert that Joe Willis, the card I bought, was on sale for 0.51. And I was like, well, there's money I just threw away.
Yeah.
Enjoy, Glenn. But it was just like I was looking for goalies, and I'm like, do I just buy the cheapest one? How like I don't really consider utility beyond this season, but
Oh, you have to, right?
you should, but I don't. So the only time I do is with guys like Guzan or Tim Mealy. Like I haven't bought Mealy. Mealy and Guzan were the first 2 goalies I bought on the platform
Yeah.
because I was like, they're safe. This was
Glenn's saying that Melia should be, I guess, fairly safe until the end of the year, because he's kind of a legend in KC.
that's what I was
But
trying to explain to
but
people earlier today.
maybe some spot starts for Pulse Camp, but
It could. Like that's a weird situation because Pulse Camp is more expensive than Melia,
yeah.
which is like everyone's like, well, it makes sense. He's
But
U23. I'm like, but he's a U23 nothing. He does not play.
right. I think the assumption though is he's gonna probably be starting by next year.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But you're kind of paying like half price now.
Would you say there's upside?
So yeah, so I finally bought. I sold a bunch of Euro cards, like good cards that helped me a lot.
Your Champion Europe cards?
Some of them I sold, some like Otavio I sold, and I started trying to get ready for like the next European season. And so I had like a nice ETH balance, and then it was like I'm gonna have to get a goalie, and
Yeah.
it's just the worst. It's the
It
stone
is.
cold worst because you can't even get excited.
Right.
Like nobody gets a goalie and they're like, "I'm winning this week."
I can stack him with my defender and I'm ready. Yeah.
No,
It's just not that exciting.
the only exciting thing was that I can put a lineup in, but it's made me completely reevaluate how I'm doing this summer, like what I'm going to be able to do, and it's simply like I just don't have. I have too many cards, outfield cards, and
Right.
not enough ETH for the goalies.
Right. And now they have all these extra divisions like the specialist and underdog and stuff. And it's like, I mean, obviously you're not going to have a goalkeeper every week that fits into those, but like me over here with Tim Melia, I do have a goalkeeper that's going to go into those competitions every single week.
Yeah.
So it's an extra division that I got to kind of plan for.
Yeah, I think
When you
it was
own bad goalkeepers, those divisions are like very available to you.
yeah, I think that was one of the overlooked aspects of the specialist and underdog divisions opening up. And you were like, wait, I need more goalies. Like I don't
Right.
need just more cards. I need more goalies.
Yeah.
And that
And
sucks.
for underdog especially, it's like I need a bad goalie or a goalie on a bad team.
Yeah, so like it seems to me, and we obviously the sample size is so small, but like strategy wise, it does seem like getting one of these 40 and under players for specialist to be your goalie is the right move, because if they get a clean
Yeah.
sheet, it's like 60 and you don't have to worry about.
I played Cody Cropper there, I think, this week because I mean
You
he
bought
fits
Cody Cropper to
there.
play in specialist even.
Well, I was gonna play him to get my .02 in Global All Star, and then I was like, actually, I can play Andre Blake Common with a uh, with one of his defenders, Jack or it's Jack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that like that made sense, and then I was like, I'll put
Mhm.
Cody Cropper into specialist, and he's at home against Dallas. Like, there's an outside chance he could get a clean sheet, and like, okay, he'll probably concede one or two, hopefully not three.
From what I understand of the rules, as long as you have a guy who's going to play, he has a chance at a clean sheet.
That's right. That's right. I'm live.
Thomas Hazel won't be getting one this week.
Yeah. And and
So
and and, and by the way, that's the other reason I purchased Cody Cropper is I own Thomas Hassel. So it's kind of that handcuff scenario, the reverse handcuff where I buy the backup once he starts and he's higher priced. It's
right.
like the moronic version of handcuffing. But it makes sense because like, okay, maybe if there's like continued issues with his finger or whatever that's dislocated, then I can keep starting Cropper. Or if he comes back and then something else bad happens, I have him.
Yeah. So I will admit that I also thought about buying Cropper
Mm-hmm.
because I have Hazel. But the problem is that I pretty much only play Hazel in U23 and Cropper is not U23. So like it gets me another goalie, but like it doesn't actually help the Hazel situation. When you're talking about the handcuff or the dumb handcuff, I believe I made the dumber move in
Mm.
that I mean literally I think the first podcast you and I ever did was about goalies.
It was one of the early
I think it
ones.
was I think it was the first one. I'll have to go
Yeah.
back. But I I was like a proponent of not handcuffing there. And I'm like, no, no, no. Don't buy your own backups. Buy someone else's backups because the upside is you have two starters. So I bought Joe Willis's backup a year ago. And I'm like, Joe Willis goes down. Brian Meredith is taking me to the promised land.
Yeah.
And here I am a year later buying Joe Willis.
Hey, but now you have the handcuffs, so you're
Yeah.
good.
There's no way I can get two starters out
You
of
know,
this.
knowing your luck, I shouldn't say it, but Willis will get hurt, and then they'll play someone else.
Yeah. I it's definitely in the cards.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely possible. But that's the worst part. And so now that I have Willis, I'm like, oh, I should be good. And I make my lineups and I'm like, I'm not good. It's not enough because of underdog or special, excuse me, whatever it is. And so now I'm like, I'm like really trying to convince myself that like Bobby Shuttleworth isn't that bad. And I'm like, he's not Cropper because like Cropper we know, or I'm confident that like when Hazel comes back, he's the starter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't worry about that.
Right.
And I know that Shuttleworth is the starter in Atlanta. At least
I think Atlanta might be shopping a little bit for a goalkeeper, though,
I think
and
that's possible.
they're a team that's totally willing to spend money. So I would not be shocked if they brought someone in.
Right. So that made me hesitate, obviously, on that. However, I decided to just do a quick Twitter search of Bobby Shuttleworth yesterday to like see if there was any news about him, and every tweet I saw was like basically that he sucks, and it was all like
Yeah.
Atlanta United fans that were like,
You know what though?
"This ain't working."
Every fan base hates either their goalkeeper or their backup goalkeeper. They hate one of their goalkeepers.
Yeah,
I think
well,
it's pretty rare to like love your guy.
they hate Bobby Shuttleworth, so I'll just. So what's also funny about him is that I think it was Sean, because Shuttleworth was with Chicago last year, and he was
Yeah.
like, he's not that bad. Like
Yeah.
he's a goal. Like he's fine. I think Techers even said he was okay. And I was just like, all right. And then he goes to Atlanta. I mean, his scores were absolutely brutal, but I did not buy him yet. But like,
For me, it's so tough though because it's like, is it him? I don't watch Shuttleworth play, so is it him or is
right.
it his team? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care to like watch him and try to find out.
There is nothing about a goalkeeper that I could witness that would make my opinion of him in terms of Sorare change at all. Like it's as simple as that.
I'll disagree with that a little bit. Like, it is fun to like watch a goalkeeper that's on his game, absolutely dominant, playing well. You're not convinced at all.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you're not realistically like watching a goalie have a great game and then being like, I'm going to buy this guy at the market rate just because he had one good game. Like, yeah, Shuttleworth has the lowest save percentage in the league right now.
Yeah,
that seems too simple of a stat. What about I think the whole XG one is also the worst in the league. But I still need more goalies is the problem. And I feel like I've given up enough of my gallery that I can't really sell a bunch. So now I need Joe Willis to deliver me some star rares so that I can sell them and buy goalies. That's what I want to do. I want to win Enzo Fernandez and sell him so that I can get Pedro Gallese. Maybe two of them. The other worst thing is that the cheapest locked-in starter I already have. And it's Eloy Room, who is just absolutely god-awful.
Yeah.
El Temp is saying I should have kept Ivicic. I literally couldn't. Like, I bought him for like 0.05 and I sold him for 0.55. Like, there was no way I was not selling that card.
We had some talks in chat about things worse than goalkeepers. Some people were saying DNPs. I think that they definitely suck. I agree. Glenn mentioned purchasing Johnson off of the deal that you made with him, and to pair with his Callens. Like, do you ever, when you purchase your goalkeeper, do you do it like because you're like, oh well, I already have the defender to go with him, or like, do you always make it a point that you're gonna put those two together? Like, I have to get a defender from that team.
Definitely not, because I have nobody from Nashville and I bought Joe Willis. And I don't have any intention of buying anyone from Nashville.
No. Zero.
I only don't because I've already done that. Like I did that previously. Like I have the River Plate combo of like Armani and Paulo Diaz.
Yeah.
I've got the Atlas Vargas and Santa Maria.
You need to go get the St. Louis kid, Jack Maher or
Maher. Yeah. Well, I also had Tyler Miller and Bakayi Debasi, and then Miller got benched because he got the flu.
Yeah. And so, now you lost the job completely. So
Right. So like theoretically I could go out and get Walker Zimmerman, but I need to spend that money on another goalie. Like that's the worst part. Like any money I get now, I need more goalies. Because just all of mine are either dead or I just don't have enough of them.
I didn't realize Walker Zimmerman's L5 was so bad.
Is it?
44, 32, 66, 54, 38. Although some of
Is he
those could have
still
been
half
like,
an ETH though?
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Gee, he really is. Somebody paid 0.564 yesterday, but the floor is 0.49. God, that's a lot for a random MLS center back. I guess he's not that random.
I mean, I wonder what the difference between like someone like him and Robin Jansen from Orlando is. Like, what's the points
You love
per
that
week
guy.
difference? I don't know. It can't be that massive.
What's funny is that I think it was with Sean on one of the Sorare Data Strategy shows where we, before MLS started up again, we were like, in America, you're better off getting like Liga MX or Brazil, Serie A defenders because the MLS defenders just aren't that good. And I'm pretty sure like Zimmerman is the only one who like makes the top 20 in
Yeah,
terms of
but
like best champion America defenders. Let's see here. João Moutinho. Oh, and Larius Mabiala. Of course. How could I forget about Mabiala?
yeah.
But I don't know. No, I don't.
I
I
just
don't.
I don't feel like any of them are like I feel like it's all kind of just like a wash and just get your guy and get good value.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the idea of pairing. Obviously, I do it with all my other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a teacher saying Farrell. Yeah, Farrell is seventh in the L15. But like, I'm not going to buy Matt Turner. Who knows
Right.
who takes over when he leaves?
Yeah.
And
They have to
so
buy someone. They have to.
I'm just praying for Tyler Miller.
Yeah.
I need that so badly.
When does that window opens back up? Like July 1st or something? The MLS window. Sometime this summer. They'll have a little window.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I need that to happen. But like, it's like, I'm like making lineups and I'm just getting angry because I'm like, look at these cards I have. And I'm like, oh, who do I have in goal? And I'm like, nobody. Like, I've played more common goalies since they announced that commons are going away than I did before that.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you. Yesterday, should I have just bought a good goalie? I have a balance. I've got a good balance. I have the ETH to buy a card. I needed a card for this midweek. Weekends, I'm fine. Right now, I'm good on the weekends. But this midweek, I had plenty of outfield cards, and I needed a goalie. I probably needed two goalies. I could have bought two croppers and like used them both.
Oh, my God. Nothing better than owning one.
So
owning two.
should I have bought a good goalie instead? Like bought another Andre Blake? He had a great matchup this weekend. Miami at home. Am I dumb for just not buying another Blake?
Maybe, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, in 3 weeks, if I want to resell Blake for the same price that I bought him at, I'm sure I could.
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
So
I feel like the clock is ticking with Cropper.
Yeah.
And
in 3 weeks he's going to be useless and he'll go back down to 0.04 or something. He'll be worthless.
Right. The good news is he's out of contract, so he could find a job after this.
Oh,
like, he's out after this season. I don't think he's making the U.S. team, but you never know. Yeah,
so I'm dumb.
I think the real answer is if you have an opportunity to buy the better players, like you should always buy them. Like, we know that Sorare is one with better players.
Yeah.
And I think the benefit to someone like Blake is that, barring injury, like, he's not going to have like a catastrophic drop in price.
Right.
And so, but
I can't play Blake in specialist either.
You can. You just have to buy another 40 L40 clown or L1540 clown.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's.
And in the end, I think you're probably right. That was dumb, but I don't know. I justified it in my brain somehow that was like the right thing to do.
Well, you justified that it was cheap.
It was cheap, and now I have the handcuff to
Sure,
hassle, and yeah, I don't know.
but you have other U23 goalies for the summer. Like you have Osako and do you have Tani? Oh, you have
No,
Ochoa's.
no,
That's
I'm dead. I'm like U23. I'm dead because I've got Maximiano one more week. If he starts, I assume he does this last week. I know that I haven't even looked at this weekend, but I'm assuming he starts. But then yeah, I have two Ochoas. I've got a super rare Ochoa and a rare Ochoa, which those are dead until he transfers, as far as I'm concerned.
seems it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
he
that was
wants
another
out.
one. Do you own Zach McMath?
I did, and I sold
I've
him.
owned him. I've owned him before.
Yeah, so
I
I
don't
sold
own him.
him. I sold him at the beginning of the season when Ochoa got hurt. I was like, all right, Zach McMath won't be worth this much for a while, or ever again, maybe.
Yeah.
And I sold him, and now he's probably worth double what I sold him at because now he's starting goalkeeper.
Right. Like that's it was Shuttleworth, McMath, and I don't think I really looked at Cropper, but I feel like there was another clown that I looked at. But like,
Clown.
apologies for that. But like, where was I going with that? McMath. Like McMath's price goes to effectively zero if Ochoa comes back,
Yeah.
and so like that was not a risk I wanted to take. Like this is how bad it was of like the guys I was looking at. Shuttlesworth was the safest option. And it's like if Bobby Shuttleworth is your safest option, maybe you shouldn't be shopping in that aisle. And so I walked out of it with Joe Willis instead, who feels like underpriced. Like I paid one of the higher prices that he's gone for in a while, and yet I'm like I've completely convinced myself that he is underpriced.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure Dane St. Clair should be like 0.15 more expensive. But I also hate Dane St. Clair.
You really do.
I, the frustrating part about Dane St. Clair is that he was always too expensive to buy as a backup.
Right.
Like
Because
he wasn't
like that first year is U23.
right. And then even when even when Miller won the job, like he was never a cheap backup. Like I wasn't going to spend points 5 for Miller and 0.3 for St. Clair. Like I don't need to spend 0.8 on Minnesota United goalkeeper
Yeah.
and only be able to play one.
It's almost like the Pau Lopez situation. You want to talk about that one?
God.
Actually, it's not like that, but
Um,
well, I mean, effectively, Pau Lopez is the backup goalkeeper, and he's selling for like 0.5 something right now.
yeah. I actually talked to Chani yesterday about that situation because he sold Lopez and bought Mandanda, and he's like, but I can't even play him because I just never know, like, because you never know.
So I had a scenario this weekend where I did really well in Champion Europe. I in the rare division. But I wasted I almost felt like I wasted like my really elite cards in Champion Europe rare. Like typically I want to play those like super like I've got Messi and I've got Kimmich.
Yeah.
Those cards probably deserve to be played in pro.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way I could play in pro was if I could trust anything about the way Marseille was going to play this weekend. And it was like, I don't know who the goalkeeper is. I think I I think Saliba and Kamara are going to play because the game's important.
Yeah.
But I not knowing who the goalkeeper is, it like totally left me out to dry. So I was like, the safe thing to do is just play them all in rare. And I mean, I guess I could have played All Star with a like a challenger goalkeeper or something, but I don't know. The way the puzzle went together this week, they all ended up in rare. But
How'd that work out for
yeah,
you?
it worked out good. I finished 4th, but
Yeah.
There's too many scenarios like that where you like Pau and Mandanda right now like are totally useless. Except I'm like 99% sure Mandanda is going to play, or would play in any Europa games. But
Yeah.
you know, um,
We thought
that's
that for sure.
that's done. Pau, I guess, is just not starting any more league games until the
Well,
end of the
like,
season.
I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Yeah. Like, if you,
That's hilarious. He's 0.15. He's under contract for next season, I think.
yeah. But like, these scores, like,
Which
it's so frustrating.
the wild part is I bought the super rare Mandanda off of Pal, and it's like even now I still don't feel comfortable playing it.
Yeah.
They could just randomly not, not use him this weekend.
60 points. Well, like that game against Rennes was like an important game.
Yeah,
Like these are all important games for Champions League qualification.
right.
And they had 37-year-old Steve Mandanda in goal.
And like I think Pau Lopez had, like, all things considered, was one of the best shot stoppers in Ligue 1 this year, and he didn't have that bad of a year. I don't feel like it's just a nasty situation. It brings back haunting memories of the Ospina Merritt situation. I think it was in 2020 or 2021.
It was last season, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did I see Ospina rumored to today? Real Madrid. He's going to be Courtois' backup. Yeah, it's I don't even I think I went through it with you the other day of just like how many goalies I lost, and Pau Lopez was like the real just kick in the nuts.
That's definitely a kick in the nuts. To me, the reason it's like even worse of a kick in the nuts, like if he just lost the job, that'd be great. And I knew it. And if coach came out and was like, "Hey, I'm going with Steve the rest of the year," but this whole like look at that. I mean, like that chart really is frustrating, and I'm never gonna put an elite lineup with either of those goalkeepers because I don't know who's playing.
The funniest thing about this situation was like we knew Mandanda was playing the
Europa
midweek
games.
matches,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he got like a start. He got a weekend start ahead of the midweek because they were like, we want to make sure he's sharp.
Right.
Then it's like, well, wait a minute. If if he's playing the midweeks and now he's playing the weekends before the midweeks, when the hell is Pau Lopez playing? And as you can see, not a lot.
Yeah.
He's not playing often.
Yeah. That's interesting, Dennis. Like he said, an FC Seoul goalie got benched. He had, good shot stopping, but he was, not playing the ball well out of the back. I don't know. Looking at Mandanda's all around, I feel like his passing out of the back's probably not that great, but
So
maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, that's Yang Han Bin. But
That's the
so
guy that we've been calling has been, right?
right. He was replaced by like a 19-year-old. Like it's a new like U23.
Oh, really?
goalie.
Are there cards of him?
And there are plenty of cards of him. Let me see who this guy is.
Is it another Yuma?
No. What? No, because this guy actually plays. This is him.
Oh, there we go.
Baek Jong Bum. Apologies for butchering that name, but like now.
That's interesting.
So this was one where if you had like that price chart is just. I mean, that's what happens, I guess.
I mean, I feel like I just need to go buy this guy.
So I almost went and bought it also. But yeah,
I would say there's upside at 0.3, right?
There is, but I don't know Korea well enough to like be confident that that job is his forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I feel like I would buy him.
I said the same thing about Osako, by the way.
And then he would start like 2 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, all right, this is the guy, and then I'd put like a killer lineup together
Yeah.
with all my best cards, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, they decided to go back with Han Ben,
Yeah.
and I'd be sad.
Yeah. So this is the, like, I have, like, I should buy this card because I own Lee Han Biam, who's a U23 center back. It's like I could have literally a U23 stack. And I just like I just don't know where
Yeah,
they
and
play.
like Ricardo said in chat that he bought the rare and then sold it within hours because he was unsure, just like so unsure of whether he was going to keep the position or not. And then
Mm-hmm.
Mike mentioned K League military service, which is a total realistic thing, and it happens. And like I don't know the rules, so like I'm not going to buy. Like I have a hard time buying those K League players, especially expensive K League players, because I don't understand all of the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This is a card that like I probably should have. I believe Sean was saying, because Sean bought Yang Han Bin or traded it, but bought Bake Jong Bum as well. And that situation makes sense. Like if you have a goalie who is like somewhat important, he has an FC Seoul stack,
Yeah,
and if their backup goalie is U23, like that's probably a card somebody should have.
yeah.
Um, Certainly somebody with Sean's gallery. Um, but yeah, like I just have this horrible feeling that like if I buy this guy, he'll be dropped immediately, and I'm just like, well, I'm dead. So
Do
to
you
add
prefer
to
to?
the
I'll let you go.
to add to um, the goalkeeper pain. So I have Misaki Higashiguchi, who had knee surgery and has been out for a while. Um, he's supposedly coming back soon, but like he was part of like my plans for the summer. Like he was going to be like my all-star starter.
They must have just like cleaned up his knee or something because he hasn't been out that terribly long.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't anything serious. So I forget who, let me see. So Kei Ishikawa is who everyone thought was going to start. And I remember the first week of Underdog, everyone bought Kei Ishikawa because they were like, oh, actually, maybe he did start now that I say that. Let me double check here.
John said Diogo Costa was 0.25 1 year ago today. If you want to feel gross.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, so Kei Ishikawa, everybody buys him, and he's awful. And so, which I guess is good for keeping his underdog eligibility. But
Yeah,
then they go over to this Jun Ichimori,
yeah,
and Ichimori has been absolutely crushing.
yeah.
Like he literally had 100. And so now
No, he had
I'm here like,
102.6.
right. So I have like Higashiguchi who has been out, but this guy has been just dominating. So now I'm like, I don't even know if he gets the job back when he comes back. Like I keep losing goalies to
Yeah,
like injuries, and when they come back, they're like, this
yeah,
other guy's better. Never
yeah.
mind.
He's pretty good.
So I never bought Ichimori. What is he going for now? 0.35. Like that's a reasonable price.
Yeah,
But like if I buy him, it goes back to like my whole method of thinking that clearly is getting me in trouble. But I'm like, if I buy Ichimori, there's no way I can get two starting goalies out of this. Like it's
yeah,
impossible. And Higashiguchi's time is going anyway because Tani's going to replace him
yeah.
at some point. Ugh, I hate goalies. I just hate it.
So we were kind of talking about those U23 guys. Do you prefer to just buy the guy like fork over the 0.8 or whatever, buy the really good player, or do you like buying like Thomas Hassel when he might have the job and you're like kind of guessing?
I'll have to go back to see who. Like, I think I started playing U23 last summer with Hazel when
Hmm.
Kripo was gone for the Gold Cup.
Okay.
And I eventually, I definitely tried to get by with others. I can't think of who. I can't think of who it was at this point, but there was a point where I was like, I need to get somebody legit, and I bought Justin Bigelow last whenever September, October,
Yeah.
something like that, and I'm like, all right, I actually had Tyrell Malacia already, so it like set up a defender goalie stack. So I was like, all right, it was like at the time by far the most expensive card I'd ever bought,
Yeah.
like by far, and I just like never felt. You don't feel good about that.
You always felt gross.
Yeah, you just. I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I like. I'm pretty sure that all of my top. I bet the top 5 cards I've bought price wise are goalies, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Um, maybe it's a little different. Oh my god, this list is so ugly. So the top 3 cards I ever bought are all goalies. Um, so I ended up.
By the way, do you have a special spreadsheet that you keep or something?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I was like, do you have like? It sounded like you were maybe looking that up on Sorare data, and you had like a filter or something.
It's not on Sorare data yet.
Okay. Ooh, yet. I love that word.
So I ended up getting worried about Bigelow because this was his last year of U23 eligibility. And there was a point where his price and Vandevoort's price converged, and I kept trying to trade Bigelow for Vandevoort. Everybody turned me down.
Yeah.
And then I finally sold Bigelow like minutes before a deadline, and I snap bought a Vandevoort. And so that became like the Bigelow was my most expensive purchase. It was my most expensive sale. And then I immediately made my most expensive purchase again with Vandevoort. So those are like the biggest monetary moves I've made on Sorare, and they're goalies, and it's just like, yay! Now I can play U23.
Yeah.
Pau Lopez is the second most expensive card I've ever bought. Pau Lopez rare.
Well, he has to start next year, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Mike said he bought Victor Osman and played him for 1/2 before he broke his face. At least he came back though with the
That
cool
kick-ass mask.
Yeah, the kick-ass, carbon fiber steel whatever mask, and not the Santa Maria from Atlas Walmart mask that they barely let him into the game with it.
Oh.
That thing looked like it did not look like a Batman mask.
No.
Like Osman's did. It was like, I don't know, paper mache painted black.
I thought it was going to be like one of those like ice packs that they put you like for getting bags under your eyes. And
Yeah.
I just painted that black, and it's nice and squishy.
Did you start Santa Maria this weekend?
I did not.
Or this midweek, I guess?
No.
Yeah. Balls of steel over here, apparently. I played him. I just...
You know why I didn't play him?
Because that mask looks so bad.
No, the real reason is because I didn't have another goalie for another lineup.
Okay.
Like I would have played super rare with him.
So you played Vargas without him?
Correct.
Okay. And you just had a better defender or a more certain to start defender, I guess.
No, I only have Santa Maria super rare, and I played Vargas in America rare. Like I couldn't play them together. I had better.
Gotcha.
I had better super rares.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Whale problems over there.
Yeah, big time whale problem. Yeah, I apologize for the downer podcast here of just like whining about goalies, but I had to talk about it.
I mean, I think what's important to note is everyone hates buying goalies, whether you're a whale or like even like the guys that are playing D1. I'm sure they hate buying a unique goalie. That's got to be the most disgusting. That's got to be the most disgusting feeling in the world. And then like anybody buying U23 super rare goalkeepers for D2, that's got to feel disgusting. And then even like all the way down to your ETH grinding guys that know this winter they're going to get rid of the common goalkeepers and they're going to have to buy a rare goalkeeper. Those guys are vomiting too. So we're all puking on each other.
It's just not fun. It's the least fun part of it.
But here's the weird thing. Like for me, I don't think that I think that that's perfectly acceptable. It should be gross and like that's part of the game. It's just part of the game. Like there's no like so rare should do this to fix it. Nope. This part has to be gross. I feel like.
I won't disagree with you there. I always liked what Quinny said that like goalies are basically like your ticket into the competition.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really make me feel that much better. It just gives us some context.
Right. So not to like transition us away from goalkeepers, but you mentioned there were some other parts of Sorare that were, right up there with goalkeepers as being the worst thing. Do you want to maybe share what that is?
Is this the XP conversation, or is this something else?
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh,
well, for me, it's training, but for you, it's XP. But they go hand in hand. Like training is so dumb, and like for the last 2 years, they've said that they're gonna make like an improvement or a change or whatever. But honestly, they should just delete training from the game. They should just delete it. We all hate it. Everyone hates it. Why do we have it?
Yeah, it's almost like they should just give you some sort of like ownership longevity bonus.
No.
Every week that you own a card, here's a little more XP.
Delete it.
Oh, and just go raw scores?
I'm okay with the XP bonus. If you want to train a guy, just go train him in like one of the tournaments.
Oh.
Go play him in a tournament somewhere.
Yeah. I think I would rather them just give us flat XP per player every week.
Nah.
Like if you own a player, here's some more XP, and you lose it if you transfer them.
You know what here's what I like. Give everyone one training lineup. That's it, and give them more XP on it. Like you get whatever the base is, give them 5 times.
Yeah,
and then everybody gets one, and it's a strategic choice on who you train.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting. You know what that would cause me to do? Is try to buy more goalies so I could not use those guys in training, so I submit lineups with them.
Yeah, maybe they would make more money, right?
So the XP thing that I was going to talk about. So I said last week that XP doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say everybody misunderstood it because I did mean that. But I meant it sort of in a different way. And Jimmer called me out on it too. And the more I kind of tried to explain my way of thinking in terms of why XP doesn't matter, I realized I didn't phrase it well enough. But XP doesn't matter sounds so good, so it just ropes people into the conversation. Yeah. But and enough so that Nellis sent me a screenshot of some tournament he was in this week where somebody had the same lineup as him and finished 4 spots higher because of XP. And he was like, tell me XP doesn't matter. And I'm like, okay.
And knowing Nellis, he like let you have it. He was like,
yeah, whatever it was. So
I won't try to do his voice.
XP obviously matters in terms of the fantasy points you get.
Look at him walking it back.
Am I walking it back? What I said was that fantasy points are more important than XP, meaning like the number of raw points a player scores is more important than XP.
Yeah.
And that the only situation where XP even comes into play is if you have the same card, like the same player card. Like I have, excuse me, I have 2 Pedro Gonçalves limited cards. And I always make sure that I play the one with higher XP and like the more important lineup. I think that's the only time that XP comes into the conversation or the strategy of what you're trying to do. We know that more XP is better. We know that training supposedly increases the XP of cards. And so like when people are like, half a point short of whatever, either any reward or they're at 204.95 and they're like, tell me training doesn't matter. And it's like, well, maybe you trained your guys to the max and you just didn't score enough points. Don't blame training or the XP. Like you just didn't score enough points. And so the training thing is XP is so insignificant to how we play Sorare that there's only like likely a handful of people who set training lineups to maximize XP. Otherwise, we're just throwing them in to make sure they get some. And so the XP doesn't matter came from the fact that like none of us think of it other than, yes, higher XP is better. But we never look at two players and we're like, well, this guy is not as good as this one, but his XP is higher, so I'm going to play this card, even though it's not as good as this other card. Like, it doesn't happen. You always play the better card, and you always should play the better card. And so, obviously, training, something needs to happen with training because we all hate it. But there's such a cloud in terms of the clarity of XP and how it works. And it's so complicated, even if it's very easy, it appears to be so complicated that none of us care. We all just train our players, get our XP, and we move on, and that's it. And for everybody to be like, no, XP matters a lot. And it's like, well, how much do you think about XP other than I want more of it?
Yeah.
The answer is like nothing. I don't think of it at all.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Like in the realm of like what we're doing each week of like, yes, you're not gonna, but like people don't overpay for XP. If like two prices are like this close and one of them is 3% and one's 8%, maybe you pay a little extra.
I paid more for my Cody Cropper by like 0.001 or something for like 2%.
Right.
Like realistic, it was like $2. Like it was,
yeah, exactly.
It was,
exactly. But you're not going to pay $50 for it.
No, absolutely not.
Right. Absolutely not.
Right.
Is the response. And so it's just like, it's the like least, it's the most important thing that literally doesn't matter on the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree that like it's just, to me it just feels dumb. I'm never gonna make a lineup decision I'm gonna make a lineup decision based on a player, not a percentage. And sure, like if I have two of the same players, which that doesn't really come up much. I think I have like maybe two dupes or something, maybe three, where it might affect a decision. It's like, oh, well, this one has 9% and this one has 8%. And this is the better lineup, so I'll put them in. I'll put the 9%er in there. It's like that, but okay, great, 1% more on whatever his score is.
Yeah, like I think Jimmer. It's not fair to have an XP conversation with Jimmer because he has like maxed out cards. Like he plays like the 10% Vinac in Rare Pro or whatever.
But why does that matter? Like, why does that affect whether it's fair to have that conversation with him?
Because he thinks it really matters. Because he's been able to like actually see the max. He has his level 10 or whatever.
I don't think that he sees any like difference on that. His 10% Vanaken against someone else's new season 8 or 9%. The rest of the lineup is what matters, not the 1% difference on his score.
So I brought this up with Quinny earlier this week when I did a video with him on vertical stacking. If anybody hasn't checked that out, go
it's
over
a good
to
video. I liked it.
Quinny 3001 on YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe.
Also the Quinny content that he does with Plastician and Tony Watt. Love it.
The End Product Podcast
Yeah.
is so good. It's different than anything else,
Yeah.
and for every good reason. So check that out as well. Thank you for bringing that
I
up.
think it's my new favorite.
It's really good. It's really good. So I was saying that the XP comes into play when you have like, even if it's not the same player, and you have like two cards of the same player, but you're like two players who are in like similar situations, then like maybe, but they have to be like so similar for you to then go to XP and decide.
I
And
will
I'm just like,
find
that just
other
doesn't happen.
reasons.
Quinny
It's
was
going to
like,
be
no, no,
like,
no. Quinny's convinced that this happens to him. That he's like, I think both of these guys are going to score 52 this week, and so I'm playing the 9% guy over the 6%. And I'm like, I just don't believe you.
I would love to have that discussion because, like, I I think that there's just too many other factors to look at: home and away, strength of the opponent, um, like that particular player and their form. There's just so many things, and like to say like, oh well, this one's 8%, but this one's 6.5. For that to be your deciding factor, I don't that bothers me.
I just don't think that it's a like I struggle to like believe that there are people making decisions because of XP.
Oh, people
Other
100%, people 100% are, and they do, and they justify it. They'll justify it their way. Maybe we're the crazy ones.
Now it's possible, absolutely possible, probable even.
Yeah.
I like this comment from K Sorare. There are vast swaths of limited cards with XP that doesn't matter at all because they're destined for specialist and underdog, where XP doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Yes, perfect. But yeah, I mean, new limiteds go for more in every like new cards, new season cards always go for more because
Do you
of the
think
XP boost.
do you think that they should force XP to matter more by increasing the range a little bit, like 0 to 20% on a rare, something like that? I don't know.
No,
No.
but I would like to.
Game breaking.
I would just like to see them make. So the difficulty. I was going to say I want them to make XP acquisition more interesting, but that pretty much requires more work from everybody. And so it has to be like fun in order for people to want to do that.
What do you mean by XP acquisition? Like training?
Training, yeah. Yeah,
So
but I didn't want to keep it just as training. Like I'd like them to come up with new ideas where we get XP and either we decide where it goes or you whatever. I don't know what the
what if you
I don't know.
what if you had to have a coach's card to train a lineup of players?
It's a hard pass for me. Like
Even if they started selling like thousands of limited, God, that would suck. They
yeah,
better
I don't need a Bob Bradley card.
Here's
I
the
really don't.
problem. Here's the problem. I would feel obligated to buy like 75 coach cards
Yeah,
because other people will, and like to keep pace with them, I got to do it.
yeah. I don't think that makes the
Maybe
game
not
better.
75, but I would have
I
to
would have to
train
buy
all my
40 of them.
I would have to train all my best players. Like
Yeah.
all my best players would have to train.
Yeah, I have like 40 training lineups this midweek.
Yeah.
And
Some of them you could probably get by without training. But like your really good players, they have to train.
yeah, most of my cards really don't need the training anymore. They're not that good.
I don't know, that Neymar and Messi probably should be trained this midweek.
Oh yeah,
right?
those I'll train those for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Are commons staying in training? They have to, right?
I don't know. Or can you still train legends?
No.
No.
Although I'm fairly certain I saw legends with XP in the lobby. I think. Let me pull this up because I really thought that was the case, which is funny because we used to be able to train them and then we stopped being able to train. Yeah, yeah. pull this up here. Yeah, it's somehow there are like these Javier Zanetti. Like this is at 1%. This one somehow is at 0. It's probably been traded 25 times. So like I don't know why some of these have XP now.
Because we were able to train them at some point.
But they're in competitions with no XP anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Ricardo's asking if you've ever received done a trade of the same card just to get better XP.
No. And I don't think that occurs very often because you're losing XP when you make the trade. So
That too.
I think if you're seeing that, it's probably more people want a specific serial number, or they want like a different edition of the card.
Yeah, it's usually a different year.
Yeah.
Going older, not.
I don't know. People might be trading out of the big head. Mike was saying he wants to keep the big head MLS cards, but I think you might see people trade out of those. The new ones certainly have a premium on them.
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of dabbling a little bit, building some either specialist teams, or I built a goalkeeper challenge team just to say that I played it and see what it's all about. And so I had to buy 4 guys to play in that. And buying the MLS cards with the jerseys was like, is it the jerseys or is it the 5% bonus that makes them like 25% more?
I think it's a little of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, this is Emmanuel Reynoso, 0.048 for a new card.
So one of those I bought because I just bought a Reynoso. Is that the one I bought right there? I don't know.
0.025 for a big head.
I bought a big head, and it was definitely less than everybody else.
Oh, you bought a big head? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me.
It would have been like 3 days ago or something.
This will be easier. Oh wait, yeah. Surely there's a more entertaining way to do this, but I don't know what it is.
Me looking and telling you what price I bought it at.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. 037.
037's got to be somewhere. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. I mean, that's just like considerably less than the jersey one, and it's like, I don't know.
What was the XP on the card?
They had 2%.
Sounds like enough. Well, it doesn't even matter in specialist.
Right. I think I played it in the goalkeeper challenge.
Or yeah, that one too.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I found is I just ended up buying almost all big heads. I think one of the cards that I bought that actually has the jersey on it is a Jordan Morris. Just I don't know if I felt like it was like cool to buy that one or what, but I was just like, whatever, I'll get the one on auction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say I do think it is more bonus because a lot of the Asia cards like had that split too, and they've always been like full uniform.
Okay.
But like I think there is an extra element to the MLS cards now that they have the actual uniforms. The big heads look weird now.
Do you want to hear something gross that's going to make you sick?
Yeah, I do.
Armani has COVID. So you had 2 goalkeepers this midweek get COVID.
Yeah, because I have Everson limited. So that's my Champion America Rare Pro just dead.
And that's a damn good lineup to you.
And I had Everson in Specialist where I had Cecina. Or no, that's Underdog. That's not Specialist. Oh no, it is Specialist. I take that back. Oh, Andy, you're killing me.
I didn't do it.
That's so classic. Like I'm bitching about goalies, and now I lose another one.
Well, at least with COVID, it's like short term, but it doesn't matter. It's like still it's killing lineups.
Mm.
Is it the fact that it's a goalie make it worse, or if it were a field player, would you feel the same?
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. A dead lineup's a dead lineup.
Yeah, I mean the lineup for sure is dead. It's just they're. I think a goalie is definitely worse because like it's if they miss multiple games, like I can replace a midfielder.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, man. God, I hate this game.
Yeah. We'll be back next week.
I don't know yet.
I guess COVID's still a thing, apparently.
I guess it's still a thing, yeah. Bummer, dude.
We had it kind of run through our house, and then
yeah, I had it last week.
Yeah, I found out at work though that we're like really like taking our like restrictions down to like the very bare minimum. There's no more like contact tracing, and it's like if you have it, just stay home.
Yeah.
Don't come to work. That's the new COVID policy.
Man, that's a bummer. I was pretty excited about that lineup.
That's like if you scroll through your lineups, I imagine that's like your best lineup.
That's my best lineup of the week.
Yeah.
It's either this one or my Joe Willis one here.
Yeah, I don't know Han Bum, and I mean I know Osmar's pretty good. I don't know
Lee
that
Han Bum is the Korean Timber. In case you didn't know.
I didn't know that, and there's no way that that's true. But yeah, I mean that lineup looks really good too. Get the Hulk in it.
Yeah, strangely, I put my best lineup in Champion America this week because
he never got suspended. Hulk.
Not yet. I assume that'll come down tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Late swap? Anyone? Late swap?
Will that ever be a thing?
No.
Will there ever be anything beyond the deadline that we have now? Whether it's subs or like something.
I don't think so.
No.
Not from Sorare. Like maybe a third-party site does it, but
well, that doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't see it like just so greatly benefits the wrong people. Not the wrong people. It doesn't benefit the mass of people, and the game is kind of built for the masses. Oh my gosh, Ricardo's taking off now because he said it's really late in Portugal. It's probably like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's got to be super late.
3 or 4 o'clock. Thank you very much for joining us, Ricardo. Wow. Like he's going to bed in Portugal, and I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed here in New York.
Isn't there games on right now? No. Oh, just Blues hockey. Yeah.
My game week's over now, so.
Oh, it's not. You still have your All-Star Pro there.
Oh, I don't even want to look at it anymore.
I think Boca's playing right now, or did they finish Boca and Corinthians? 81st minute.
Oh, all right.
There's some big scores going on in that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a guy on Raul Gustavo. He has an assist and a last man tackle, 93 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was the one that Techers was talking about.
Yeah, that's a big
His price was so different from João Victor, who was at 41.
Mm.
Man.
Yeah, that defender that I won on Corinthians, Gil.
Not Carlos?
Wrong one. Yeah, wrong guy. And he I don't know his deal. Like he starts sometimes he doesn't start. I think he came back from an injury or something, and I'm not relying on that. So if anybody wants to buy him, but not Carlos Gil.
Sounds like Pau Lopez. Might start sometimes. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, well. I think we've moaned long enough.
Yeah, we have.
Certainly I have.
That was like, I think, like the biggest bitch fest we've ever had, right?
It really was. It felt like it, yeah. And then it just ended with the Armani COVID news.
Yeah.
I can't even talk anymore, so I'm so distraught. But yeah, thank you to everybody who has joined us live here. I know it's a difficult time for some people who watch, but we're always appreciative of people who take their time to participate with us. So thank you very much. If you guys are catching the replay, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, I guess everybody watching live can hit the like button as well. I will say it feels weird to only get like 30 likes and 1,000 views. I feel like it's easy to just hit the like button. So if you guys would actually do that, it would be really appreciated. And if anybody's listening to the audio version, I know Nellis does. So John, if you're still listening, hello. And you can also rate and review it wherever you listen. We'll be back next week. I promise it will be much more uplifting. But we don't know what the topic is, so we'll get to there.
Some other goalkeeper topic.
It will not be about goalies. Yeah. I'm done talking about goalies. I'm streaming tomorrow, Wednesday, at 3:30 Eastern. If you're listening after that time, then you can watch the replay. But just going through a bunch of kind of hidden features that are on Sorare data that a lot of people may overlook or may not even know about. So definitely check that out. And then Sean and I will be back on Friday for the regular Sorare Data Strategy show. So thank you to everyone. And Andy, I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See you.